touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Alrighty, how exciting to have a doubleheader here tonight. A little bit backwards as the USA Trucks was supposed to happen first yesterday. So we kept the ARCA series on the regular time slot and moved the trucks to later. And it's going to be here tonight at Texas for 151 miles. The Rangers 151 here in Texas. Starting on the front row, we saw him in the ARCA race. Zach Magoon in the 51. Unfortunately, did not fare so well at Pikes Peak as he teleported here over to Texas and is going to be duking it out with the likes of Trevor Walker there. Trevor showed, don't have to look too far as you've got Trevor Walker starting second and Trevor Vaden starting third. And Kyler Sestre there. Alex Sanvital and Joe Hill, Brian DeBlanc and Alan Chavot, Anheuser Wachner and Matthew Fastnot, Spinham Walker and Lynn Farrell, Chris Harvey and Braden Hunt, Rich Roy and Noah Hobson, Adam Starr and John Hagan, Dave Steele Jr. and Gavin Legend, Krista Cower and Paul Ladino, Adam Cruz and Kat Durham, Matthew Hubert and Craig Popgris, Jonah Burridge and Roach, Rand Kataz and Jack Davis, Chasey Plays and Luis Rodriguez, Jacob Shangle and Monty Shangle, how fitting, Chase Kovacic, Daniel Paulus, Jamison Thole, and Lucas Holmes. So, you don't have to look very deep to figure out who's won the first 4 races here in the USA Trucks West. Both drivers starting in the top 3 there, Trevor and Trevor. Both of them have won 2 apiece, and tonight they're even at their home territory, Texas being the home track for Trevor Venture's race team. So they've really got the deck stacked in their favor here. But wouldn't it be oh so sweet to see a David versus Goliath battle here around the exciting 1.5 mile track of Texas. Our Goliath being the Trevor Ventures camp, but could the 51 of Magoon be David? We'll have to watch and see. Good start here from Zach Magoon. Trevor Vaden pushing the envelope here early, trying to go 3 wide for the lead. Want to be careful, don't want to get in a wreck and take out the boss man with you. Just like that, Trevor Vaden takes the early lead away from boss man Trevor Walker. It's also a home track for Brian DeBlanc. His team NCTX, or rather North Central Texas Motorsports. So Hopefully looking to have a good run here at his home track in that number 85 Volkswagen. Did see Alex Sanvital in that ARCA race as well, so quite a few drivers pulling the double duty tonight, bouncing between trucks and ARCA. Brian DeBlanc, one of our veterans of the truck series here, still looking for that ever elusive first victory in trucks competition. Here he goes, trying to fight with the 93 of San Vital. ...101 laps here. Likely going to click by pretty quickly. We should see at least a round of pit stops somewhere throughout the race here tonight. And here we go, Brian DeBlanc with a good charge here. Might try to take the position away from San Vital. Goes low here, gonna carry that momentum. 93 could get suckered and drop multiple spots here as there is a freight train coming along the inside line. Magoon snaps out onto the high side there, and that could be a mistake as he's going to fall backwards just like that 93. Fastest lap so far belongs to Zach Magoon. Brian DeBlanc actually turning faster laps than your leader of Trevor Vaden. But here comes Trevor Walker. To no surprise at all, TV now leads 1-2 yet again. And Walker just turned his fastest lap that time by at 29.0. But Magoon has fast lap of a 28.911. That could be touched here by the Trevors, especially if Walker just turned his fastest lap that time. Yep. Trevor Walker just turned a 28.938. Still not faster than Magoon, but these two, their truck's starting to come to them in the run here. 8 laps in. Helps when you have a teammate you can draft with. Look at the momentum, the 28.940 for Trevor Vaden. 28.866, so give the fast lap time over. Not quite, the 07. Jonah Burridge actually turned a faster lap than Trevor Walker. Not by much, you can kind of see it in the ticker there. 28.823. to a 28.866. I'm going to keep this ticker up just in case it changes here. That was a slower lap for Walker, so. So far, kind of setting up as expected between the Trevor and Trevor show. But it's also nice to see another Texas native working his way up to the front of the field. The 85 there of Brian DeBlanc. Even Chris Harvey in 5th. So Joe Hill has been pretty steady surprise in the USA Trucks West. His tally looking pretty good early on in the season. And the way things are playing out with the two Trevors winning all the races, there's going to be less drivers getting into the chase on wins. So you're going to have to look towards who's going to be highest up in points. And I think Joe Hill is going to be sitting well enough in the points without a win that he could be fighting for a championship. Obviously, it's going to be everyone against the Trevors when it comes to a championship. But there could always be some, the wheels could fall off that team. Things could go sideways, and someone else could still sneak their way into the picture to fight for the overall championship at the end of the year. If you're new to the series, the way we do it, we have an Eastern Division and a Western Division with USA Trucks. And we will crown a Western champion. We'll crown an Eastern champion. Those will be weighted as kind of a half championship because it's not the true overall championship. But once we get, through the regular season, we'll take the 10 best from the East, the 10 best from the West, and those 20 drivers are locked into the overall chase for the championship at the end of the year. So only those 20 drivers, the 10 best from the East and the 10 best from the West, will be eligible to take the overall championship at the end of the season. And that'll be contested in a 8-race chase between them, and the racetrack's not yet decided on, as we want to try to find the best tracks all across the world, whether it be, international, global, or even truly fictional from reality. We want that chase for the truck championship to be something special. And it does put into perspective, too. We've got some international flair out there. I'm going to skim through the ones I know who are outside. Right there, we've got a Brazilian in the field, the 05 of Adam Cruz. So Brazil represented. A lot of Americans. I'm not even mentioning which one of these are all Americans because 90% of them are. If I find, not sure where Ran Kataz is from, but I think it's foreign, I could assume. Kovacic is Croatian. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he's from Croatia. And that's just the Western Division. We've got Australians on the East Coast. And I think probably a couple other countries represented between our two truck divisions. So might look towards trying to figure out tracks that represent each of those drivers. I know Brazil would be fun. There is a Rio Oval track, which would be somewhat, a home track for Brazilian in the field. And usually, it actually runs kind of crazy. There's a lot of, mishaps that the drivers have at the track. The AI itself has some, but it makes for some good racing too, even with the crazy racing action you see. But even with all that international flair, it's a Texas 1-2-3. Well, technically, Trevor Vaden, not from Texas, but racing for his Texas team owner. And lap traffic's going to become a factor here. Daniel Paulus way off the pace. These guys are going to have to figure out a way to get around the 99 truck as quickly as possible. It's crazy that we're already 21 laps into this one. Not even 15 minutes into the race and 20 laps already knocked out. Trevor Vaden was able to get a top 10 in the ARCA race earlier today. And without having tallied the points yet, I'm pretty sure he's going to be towards the top of the point standings with his earlier win in the season, combined with his last two finishes, especially a 7th at Pikes Peak. So Vaden could potentially be leading in trucks and ARCA if the dominoes fall in the right direction. This is why we run our ladder system, getting you to work your way from A's to the B's to the C. ARCA, Bridge to Cup, Cup. Trucks is kind of that intermediate that it's not really a true test of your stock car skills, but still gives us some extra racing action otherwise. And any racing is going to be good intel for these drivers to build upon. Seems that Trevor Vaden, one of those drivers that's actually pretty well rounded, able to run good in a truck and in the stock car. Think about if we actually put together a modified series, it'd be kind of fun to see the best of the best from trucks and Cup, maybe ARCA, duking it out on short tracks in a modified car, or even IndyCar. You know, that's the one thing we haven't, spanned out to. Nice part is we do have people in the community that have basically offered or extended, their interest to the series. A great appreciation for what Brian DeBlanc does. I'm glad he is willing to help give us an IROC series. So we've basically got the International Race of Champions for Sigma, and he's put it together. He's putting on a good show there. Definitely give him a subscribe if you like watching offline AI racing. I know that we've got, I think, about 8 races of IROC Championship, and it's going to be comprised of us. We do have some wild card spots that change each week, and that all depends on how everyone does, like in this truck race here, how they do an ARCA, Cup, or even Bridge to Cup for that. I know Trevor Vaden has pretty much cemented another run in the IROC car after his first venture with IROC. Did a pretty good job and has been extended an invite to the second IROC race, which is being run on a monthly basis. So right about the end of each month, we'll have our IROC event. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with IROC, I guess think about like more currently where they had the SRX, Tony Stewart's SRX experience. IROC was back in the day. They took the best drivers that they could find from all forms of racing, whether it be dirt, drag racing, or IndyCar, NASCAR, and you had the likes like Dale Earnhardt Sr. racing against Paul Tracy or someone, Mario Andretti. I don't know if Mario Andretti actually did any IROC racing, but you kind of got this mixed bag of racers from all walks of life racing against each other. Now, we don't really truly follow in that same pattern with the Sigma IROC series, but it does bring together all of our different racing action and puts them on the field together in the supercharged IROC cars, the Pontiac, I believe the Pontiac Grand Am or Grand Prix. Correct, yeah, SRX, and I think actually got bought and might have been bought by IROC, if I'm not mistaken, or converted to IROC. That they want to try to revive the IROC brand and bring it back, which would be so cool. I don't know how long it'll take or where it stands right now, but sounds like IROC is on the comeback tour. So thank you, Pontiac Firebird. I get every form of Pontiac mixed up except for the GTO, because the Grand Am, the Grand Prix, Trans Am, which I think is Pontiac still. But yeah, the Pontiac Firebird is what we host our Sigma IROC races with. So lap traffic becoming pretty significant factor here at lap 33. Trevor Vaden gets shuffled out from the lead. And now Spinham Walker up to second. Wow, there is a lot of action right now as our leaders are having to work their way through some thick traffic. Trevor Walker seeming to make the most of the momentum getting through the field here. Spinham Walker in second. Trevor Vaden wants to get back up to that position though. Yeah, which that also raises the question as to what would they do with the IROC revival. I wonder what kind of models of car, what would we see? So many of your American manufacturers don't produce cars like they used to. I mean, Ford still makes its Mustang, Chevy still makes its Camaro, Dodge still makes its Challenger. But beyond that, they don't really have any cars to bring to the market. So what would an IROC series in 2025 look like? It gives you kind of a pretty interesting what if, what would it look like? Kind of crazy to think about. I mean, looking at our Sigma truck series here, we've got a Volkswagen Amarok, which by no means would you see an Amarok out there in real life truck series, but due to the creative abilities that we are given with NASCAR Racing 2003, we made it a reality here. Not a lot of teams have taken up the Volkswagen emblem here in USA Trucks, but what few have been putting on some decent runs for Volkswagen, and just a matter of time before they could find their way to victory lane, just like we've got Subaru and Honda trucks as well. That's a bummer. I miss the Challenger. Yeah, that's and the Charger. It sounds more for the electric style. You can make a Charger a true electric vehicle, I bet. So it's probably why they dropped the Challenger and kept the Charger. Now we got a fight for the lead here. It looks like Bruin, the 7 Spin'em Walker. Ooh, Trevor Vaden jukes out the 7 and swallows second place up there. Man, lap traffic is something to behold here at Texas. These guys having a very tough time getting through lap traffic here. Just when you thought Spin'em Walker was going to be fighting for the lead, now he's settled into 4th. We're down to 60 laps to go here. This race almost halfway over. Trevor, 1-2. Another lap truck, man. We didn't see any lapped vehicles in the ARC race, and tonight here in the trucks, we're seeing them left and right. Kind of interesting. This is kind of a rubber match between the two Trevors, as Trevor Walker and Trevor Vaden both with 2 wins apiece. Got to imagine the bragging rights. One of them wants to say, I've got more wins than the other. What's the good of being 2 apiece when one could have 3? I wouldn't count Brian DeBlanc out here. He could be kind of a sleeper pick to get the job done here tonight. You got to imagine coming home to a home track like this gives that little extra motivation to put the pedal to the floor, pedal to the metal, get a good finish with the home crowd, the family in the stands. Yeah, it would be kind of cool to see Dodge come back to NASCAR. I think the problem right now, so many of the manufacturers, it all depends on what direction they want to go with promoting their namesake. I mean, like, for example, Honda wanting to pull out of IndyCar perhaps because it's not really appealing to their, what they want the image of Honda to be. Maybe NASCAR, if they had something that's more appealing to the Honda, whole fan base, maybe that's, it all has something to do with, I'm pretty sure, the image of where they want to head. And it'd be cool to see Honda. I've heard, talks that they could come to real life NASCAR, and that would make NASCAR have a pretty solid manufacturer base with 2, Japanese-based manufacturers and of course 2 American. And then all we'd need at that point is another exhibition race in Suzuka, which would be awesome. If F1 could travel the globe, why can't, why couldn't NASCAR? I understand there's 40 cars in NASCAR versus, Formula 1 only has 20. And I'm sure the Formula 1 cars are like half the weight of a NASCAR Cup car. So once you put into perspective all of that, the logistics, it would be a nightmare to haul 40 hunkin' NASCAR Cup cars over to Japan. So, but even just for one race, don't go to every continent. Just pick one place. Mexico's very, very viable, and I think could happen. Canada, especially, it's not like they have to get a ship to tow their fleet across, cross country. Canada and Mexico very much ripe for the taking if they wanted to do it. Alrighty, we are about to be halfway here. Every lap led by a Trevor. No one else has led a lap here tonight. But DeBlanc holding on pretty solidly here. Pit stops are definitely along the horizon, so we're going to see everyone make their one round of pit stops unless we get a caution. And this ain't the last race at Texas this week. I believe, if I remember correctly, the rest of the series races at Texas. So what's Bridge to Cup got for us is, yep, Texas on my birthday. So Bridge to Cup racing action here from Texas for the Rowdy Wild Texas 301. And then the Cup Series, No Limits 351 on April 12th. That'll be this Friday. 234 laps around Texas. And then after that, the following week, we go to Riverside for the Cup Series. But then we have a brief break with a week off before we go back to racing in the Cup Series at Chicagoland, which will be race number 10 of 40. So it'll be the quarter mark of our season. And by that time, it'll be the one-third of the way through our Bridge to Cup campaign. And the trucks still only about one-third of the way between the East and the West, as they've only hit race 5 of 15 for the regular season on the East and the West. Truck campaign definitely a lot different than our Bridge to Cup and Cup. It's not truly a full season of racing, since we've got 80 competitors broke down between 2 divisions. DeBlanc losing some momentum here as our leaders really starting to leg it out. Vaden and Walker nose to tail, just kind of working together as teammates at this point, push drafting, growing that lead. Regardless of the lack of lead changes, it has been exciting so far with lap traffic kind of mixing it up. We have seen the lead swap between these two quite a few times. Just not outside of these two have we seen anyone else lead. It's also an interesting perspective to go from a short track like Pikes Peak to the faster 1.5 mile here of Texas. You can really tell that these guys are baking around the track. 180 miles. Texas always provides us with some quick, fast racing action. So far, Trevor Walker leads the points with his 2 wins, 4 top 5s in the first 4 races. Trevor Vaden sits 4th in the points with 2 wins, 3 top 5s in his first 4 races. However, Brian DeBlanc sits 2nd in the points with his 1 top 5, but 4 top 10s. So he's finished top 10 in every race in the start of the season. Chris Harvey in third in the points, has 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. So honestly, our top 5 all pretty much on display here. Seems like Harvey might be having some trouble getting through the lap traffic, however, as he's fallen back to 11th. Noah Hobson is nowhere to be seen at the front of the field. Sits in 15th, so still some room for him to gain ground towards the front of the field. But yeah, based on who's won the races so far, only the 2 Trevors, that means 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th are all going to be making it in on points if the race were to convert over to the chase right now. Which is crazy. You've got the likes, of Matthew Fastnot, Kyler Sustre, Joe Hill, like I mentioned, Spinham Walker, and Dave Steele Jr. all sitting in the top 10 in points. And those guys going to continue to pretty much maintain a top 10 in the point standings with the runs they're having today. Trevor Vaden is the only one between the 2 Trevors that has shown any slight form of he's had one race that he DNF'd basically. So and since then has looked pretty much unstoppable. So that first race really didn't have any tell on the strength that truck has. And he's got a little bit, of a hill to climb to get by his boss man. But if he continues knocking off wins like this, all it's going to take is Trevor Walker to have a mistake or drop outside of the top 5 for a race, and Trevor Vaden will be there to inherit the points lead. Based on the way they're running right now, Trevor Walker would still firmly grasp the points lead over his young Padawan in the 20. But it is impressive when you see, the new talent, the new blood coming in to the team, and things start to get a little bit unsettled, I imagine. I mean, it's all, peachy dandy right now, but what if it comes down to a battle for the championship and your number 1 adversary is your teammate? And it's like, man, I shouldn't have hired this guy. He's going to whoop my ass at the one shot I have at winning a championship. I mean, it's got to kind of sit a little different, being the boss, being the owner. I mean, either way, your team has a pretty solid opportunity to win the championship between the 2 trucks. But you got to imagine it kind of starts to set in. It's like, well, maybe I want to be the one winning this championship rather than watching it slip away due to a teammate. I could be wrong too, but yeah, we've seen it before. I imagine Jeff Gordon was probably a little bit, a little bit taken aback when Jimmy Johnson shows up after he brought him in. Jeff Gordon brings Jimmy Johnson into NASCAR, and then Jimmy Johnson goes on a tear winning all those championships. Jeff Gordon probably had a bit of remorse over that, not being able to take some of those championships that the guy he brought into the sport took from him. And I think pit stops are starting to happen. I hear some trucks slowing down. Yeah, the 49 coming off pit road. 93 on pit road, so the undercut for some of these guys, pitting a little bit earlier. as our one and only pit stop coming here under green flag conditions today. A whole flock of them come down pit road. This is where the Trevors are going to have to hope that there is not a caution, because it could really mix things up, could get things all topsy-turvy. Did Trevor Walker pit? Trevor Walker had to have pitted. Yep, there's the 21. Coming up to the front here, make his pit stop. So that's kind of interesting. Different strategies between the two teammates. They're going to mix it up here and rejoin the track at different points in time. Zach Magoon making his pit stop. Has that front pit stall due in part to earning the pole position here today. Okay, Trevor Walker rejoining the racing surface here. Seems like we're going to have a pretty full cycle here without a caution. Everyone making their pit stop. And there's Trevor Vaden, so we're going to have to see in correlation to the boss man where he rejoins the track here. He's going to be on his up to speed lap, as those tires are very cold right now. And I think Vaden actually going to make out pretty well, like a bandit here, over the boss man. So far, 1.5 seconds separates Vaden from Walker, as Walker didn't have near as good of a pit stop. Vaden dealing with lap traffic, but has a significant gap on second place already established. 1.4 still staying relatively distant. 1.3. Lap traffic. Wow, look at, there comes the 21 of Walker. That just, his lead shrunk all in the matter of one lap there. 0.14. Walker gained a whole second on that lap. Now he's trapped behind the slow truck, the 97, that kept the 20 tied up. This is what the 85 of Brian DeBlank needs. He needs these guys to keep getting held up by lap traffic if he wants to rejoin the battle for the win here tonight. Or his, deep dark hopes is that they get tangled up in a wreck fighting these lap trucks. 3 wide potentially. Ooh, this could really mix things up here as Vaden gets shuffled into the middle there. 3 wide with Cat Durham and Kataz. Still 5 seconds separating Brian DeBlanc from the two Trevors. It's going to be a long haul for the 85 to close that gap as Walker now settles into the lead. Walker making some passes here, maneuvering through the traffic. Oofty, nearly a 6-second lead now as they had one stellar lap to put the 85 and the 7 further back behind the track. They're really going to need a caution if they want to get back into this one. Ooh, the 20 getting held up from the 99 truck there. That's no bueno. DeBlanc's doing just about all he can to try and close the gap, but I don't think he's going to have enough to get the job done here today, as we're down to 20 laps to go here at Texas. Those 20 laps will be over in roughly 10 minutes. Like I said, caution is the only thing that's going to save this race for DeBlanc. If he wants to get back into it, he's going to have to hope that they start being eagle eyes, looking for debris on track to try and get a caution to go his way. Trevor Vaden starting to seriously lose the lead here as Walker, with clear track in front of him, starting to put together some solid laps here, stretching that lead out. And one thing I know now is that my computer's capable of doing a double header, back-to-back streams without too much hesitation. Streaming quality actually seems better in this truck race than what it did in the ARCA race, so that's promising. If we ever have to do another double header just like this, I know that the computer will do just fine. Vaden getting by the 46 of Popcris there. Looks like Vaden might be able to start closing that gap, but he does not have very much time left to do so, as we now have 15 laps to go here. Lead is 1.2 seconds in the favor of Trevor Walker. .09, so the lead shrinking slightly here. Lap traffic still going to be a factor, though. Is he going to be able to make the right moves to keep that momentum going in his favor? Goes low on the 26 there of Jamison Thole. Now going to have his sights set on Cat Durham in the 22 truck. Lead might have grew a little bit there. Now stayed about the same, 1.10. And we're down to 11 laps to go now. So it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty, as now under a second, Vaden has closed the gap. Vaden has an opportunity to try and strike for the win here tonight. It's a Texas 1-2 tango between the Trevor Ventures teammates that have been stinking up the show significantly here on the west side. Funny part is last year it was the Eastern Division where we saw standout, dominance from drivers, and this year it's the west side. So evidently it's not tied to one division or the other. It just depends on the puzzle pieces that are in place. Lap traffic still a factor here for Walker, as he's now caught up to the 64 of Jacob Shangle. 10 laps to go. That lead is plateaued a little bit, still 0.9 seconds. Under a second, but not making up as much of a headway here. Walker goes low on the 64. Vaden still needs to get by Cat Durham here to try and fight for the win. These two lap trucks might hold up the pace of the 20. Vaden gets by the 64 without any hesitation, so the battle continues on here with just 8 laps to go. This is the closest he's been in the past 30 laps, as pit stops really did kind of mix up the running order here. It gave a huge gap until there was no gap. Lap traffic ended up costing Vaden the lead here, and then he fell backwards due to lap traffic, but now he's starting to pick it off one by one here, fighting his own battles to try and get the lead back. There we go. Vaden goes low, makes another pass on lap traffic. This will be the move. If he can get it done, he needs to now set his sights on the boss man in the 21. .385 for the leader. Compare that up to the slower time of a 29.431 for Vaden. Vaden struggling a little bit here. I don't think he's going to have what it takes to get it done here today. Lap traffic could still become a factor yet again here, as Walker not out of the woods yet. Cat Durham actually duking it out with our two leaders here, making it hard for Vaden to fight for the win. Just like that, he takes position back, relevating Vaden a little bit further behind the leader. 3 laps remain now. Could lap traffic play a factor that ultimately put Vaden in the position he is now? Is Walker going to have a double-decker lap traffic sandwich holding him up? Could happen here. He's got 3 trucks all within the same area there that could hold up his momentum with 2 laps to go. It's like Walker's going to catch him at an opportune time here. He's going to get in alongside the 27. 27 cuts him off. And Vaden still a lot of ground to make up for the 20. 29.2 to a 29.3. So Walker not really losing much momentum, getting stuck behind the slower traffic here. But now double-decker lap traffic sandwich, like I mentioned, nowhere for Walker to go except fighting with lap traffic, who's going to slow him up here. White flag waving. It's going to be down to what the lap traffic does. Vaden needs a little bit of a miracle here. I don't think he's going to get the brakes that he needs. He needs to get by the 38 here. He gets trapped up behind the 38. So home track, hometown win on the horizon as Trevor Walker collects that checkered flag here tonight at Texas. Trevor Ventures now makes it 5 for 5 in the opening campaign of the USA Trucks Western Division. And as stout as they are, finish yet again 1-2 tonight. Coming home third was Spinham Walker, which is a fitting name to come home third at Texas. Fourth, the other Texas native of Brian DeBlanc. Then you got Matthew Fastnot, Alex Sanvital, Chris Harvey, Dave Steele Jr., Lynn Farrell, and Kyler Sustre rounding out your top 10. Well, regardless of the lack of variety at the front of the field, we still had a great race here at Texas. 21 trucks finished on the lead lap. Only one retirement, the 89 of Gavin Legend. But congratulations to Trevor Walker on getting the job done yet again here. His 3rd win in the early season of USA Trucks. Vaden and him, it's going to be so fun to watch those two duke it out all season long for wins. At least we've got a pair of them rather than just one standalone dominant driver. We've still got a race breaking out every week because it's either one or the other between those two. So can't complain when you've got good racing going on even with 2 drivers on the field. Perfect. So congratulations to Trevor Ventures and the Trevor Show for breaking out yet again Home track win for the team. Home track win for the owner. It's Texas squared, I guess. Don't mess with Texas or you'll get the horns. So that's a wrap for tonight. Our doubleheader. Pretty quick doubleheader for the most part. Still getting out at a decent time tonight for most of you on the East Coast, only about 1 in the morning. So thanks for everyone tuning in. Glad you could. As I mentioned, tomorrow Bridge to Cup action on my birthday, and we'll have another stream tomorrow night. So hopefully everyone has a good night's sleep. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.